Lesson number 84 is our second part of order of operations. And we've got a table here that describes our three order of operations. So whenever we have a problem that we need to simplify, we'll do the operations in this order. Number one, we're going to perform operations within parentheses. Number two, we're going to multiply and divide from left to right. And number three is to add and subtract from left to right. Please pause this video now so you can write this in your notes. Let's go ahead and look at our first example. We want to simplify 2 times 8 plus 2 times 6. Now we know our order of operations, you just wrote it down. They say that we have to do everything in parentheses first. There's no parentheses here, so we move on to step 2. Step 2 is to multiply and divide from left to right. So we need to do all of our multiplication and division first. Here's our first multiplication. Then there's no division, but there's more multiplication on the right side. So we need to do both of these pieces before we add, because that's step 3. 2 times 8 is 16. We're going to add 2 times 6. That's 12, in order to get our final answer of 28. Those order of operations are very important here, that we multiply and divide from left to right first, and then we add and subtract from left to right second. Since there are no parentheses, well, we didn't have to do that in this problem. Let's look at our next example. Here we have 0.5 plus 0.5 divided by 0.5 minus 0.5 times 0.5. So the same number all the way throughout, but different operations. Now we know that we need to use parentheses first, or do everything within parentheses first, and there are no parentheses. Then we need to multiply and divide from left to right. So let's find our multiplication and division. Here's our first division, and here's our first multiplication. So let's go ahead and simplify those. We can write out our 0.5, because we'll add next, plus, well, any number divided by itself is equal to 1 minus 0.5 times 0.5. Well, we can do the math there. 0.5 times 0.5. 5 times 5, that's 25. And we know we have to move the decimal over. Well, once, twice. So we move it back in twice to balance everything out. So our answer is 0.25. So we're going to have the problem of 0.5 plus 1 minus 0.25. Got to work with the order of operations. So next comes addition and subtraction from left to right. So we've got addition first. 0.5 plus 1 must be 1.5. Then we have 1.5 minus 0.25. Well, we could do this one in our head, because it's like saying if we have $1.50 and we take 1/4 away from that, we must have $1.25 left. And we're not working with money in this problem, so we don't need a dollar sign. But we could go ahead and box our answer and move on to the next question. Here we have 2 times 8 plus 6. Now, remember, when a number touches a parenthesis, it means multiply. Our first step is to do everything within parentheses. So, 8 plus 6, that's 14. And we're going to multiply that times 2. Even though addition was our third step, we still have to do everything within the parentheses first. So multiplication comes next. 2 times 14, that's equal to 28. And we've got our final answer. We could box it and move on to our next question. Remember, everything in parentheses first, then multiply and divide from left to right, then add and subtract from left to right. We'll practice this more with our lesson practice on page 451. Make sure you've got your notes complete, and I'll see you during our next class.